Welcome to DMR, Dewey's Movie Reviews, the red carpet treatment. Enjoy the show.
All right, so welcome back to DMR. I hope you enjoyed that interview from Professor Lloyd Auerbach. Some amazing paranormal investigation stories. If you haven't checked it out, go back and watch it. Amazing stuff. For the first interview for 2026, the Legends of the Lens series. So today, have a listen to this gentleman's resume, will you? So Todd Tucker is one of Hollywood's leading masters in the FX game. He's also an actor, producer, and a director as well. Whew. What a list of titles he has there. So, reading some of his work that he's been involved with, we've got Hook, Bram Stoker's Dracula, yeah, Mrs. Doubtfire, The Mask with Jim Carrey. You've also got Blade in 1998, Pirates of the Caribbean as well. We've got Charmed he's worked on and in Van Helsing too. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. And he's also directed his own film, which is The Terror of Hallows Eve and Monster Mutt as well. So this is a real treat because Todd basically worked on a hell of a lot of films that were smack bang in the middle of the 90s when myself and a lot of other people that are out there grew up. So he is the man behind a lot of these films and when it comes to FX and the puppetry and also the face masks and all that jazz. It's an amazing hour, so buckle up. This guy's got some very cool Hollywood stories, and as soon as you see him, he looks like a rock star. So enjoy. Here we go. All right. So welcome back to DMR. Thank you for tuning back in as always. Much obliged. And tonight or today, we've got a real treat coming in all the way from LA. Mr. Todd Tucker. Hello, sir. Welcome to DMR.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
All good. So you're in LA at the moment, yeah?
Yeah, it's about 8 o'clock-ish at night here in Los Angeles on a beautiful Friday night.
And how long have you lived in LA for?
I moved to Los Angeles in 1990. I was here when I was a kid and moved around a little bit, but ultimately spent pretty much the majority of my life here, and I live in Santa Clarita, which is a little bit outside of Los Angeles. I really enjoyed here.
Awesome. So let's just go from the top. So you're an FX master, you're an actor, and you're a producer and director as well. Is that correct?
Yes, a lot of hats.
Jeez, man, you do wear a lot of hats. So
a lot of hats.
Let's rewind the clock. So let's go back to the early 90s or might have been the late 80s, whenever you started in Hollywood. So how did you know, I suppose, you wanted to get into the FX scene or the acting scene? Like, where did you basically start from? What was your kickoff?
I was actually a musician, and I was in a band, and we were signed by our label, and we were actually touring, and it was right around the end of high school when I started really getting into special effects makeup and wanting to learn about it. And I was always a big movie buff, big time. Loved monsters, loved all that stuff.
Yep.
But it was very kind of new at that time, so there wasn't a lot of schools or things that taught it. And I went to a Star Trek convention, and I would say this is like 1985 and 1984-ish. And I saw these masks on display, and this was in Northern California where I was living at the time. And there were two cards and business cards, and I grabbed them both, and I called the first one, and I said, "Hey, I'd love to come learn special effects makeup. If I can come, I'll clean your studio, I'll do whatever." And the guy literally told me to take a hike, and I was like, "Whoa, okay, that didn't work." So I took the other card, and I thought about it, and I went, "Okay." So I called the second card, and I said, "Hey, I have a puppet that I drew that I would love to have you guys make, and I'll pay you to make it if I can come over and watch." And they were like, "Sure, come on over." So I met these guys, and I ended up becoming best friends with them. And they taught me all this great stuff, and they were amazing artists. A guy named Steve Wang and a guy named Matt Rose. And we all became friends, and they spent about a year and a half teaching me all this stuff. And then they moved to Los Angeles and started working on their first film, which was Aliens. right?
Oh, the
And
prequel.
the prequel, yeah. So
Oh man, that's one of
yeah,
my
no,
favorite movies. Seriously, it's
they
I
then
could.
went off. It's such a great movie, and then they went off and created the Predator. They both worked on that and designed it and made it, and so they became rock stars in the effects world very quickly. And then I ended up doing my music career for about 4 years and went back and forth getting lessons from them on the weekends when I would fly down to or drive down to LA. And they basically taught me everything I needed so that in 1991, I decided to make the shift from music to movies. And I packed up, didn't put music behind me, drove down to Los Angeles and started working immediately.
How cool is that? Yeah, so Aliens. I remember because I'm a 1985 baby, right? So that's when I was born. So I
Nice.
came up in that era of the VHS, the video store, which unfortunately is now extinct, as we know. Well, there's probably I think there's
Yeah.
one left over in the States, which might be one Blockbuster Video, and I can't remember exactly where it is, but there could be one left. Anyway, I remember watching the movies like Alien and Aliens. It was early 90s, so I was probably about 7 or 8. And the Aliens movie, it was horror, but it was weird watching it as a kid. It was like it felt very adult. Like when you watch it, the dread that you feel in those movies with the puppets or however the special effects, it still holds up today. It's amazing. It's one of my favorite movies because it's when you know a movie is good and you watch it and it still feels fresh. That's when you know you've got magic, right?
I truly think Aliens, the sequel,
Yep.
is the greatest sci-fi movie ever made, and it still holds up. It is just so well made, and those creatures look great, and the filming. I mean, it is a great movie.
It's unbelievable. That's good stuff.
Yeah,
But
one
look,
of my favorites.
we're not here to talk about aliens. We're here to talk about you. So, Hook. So you worked on Hook, is that right? Is that in '91 with Spielberg? Is that correct?
Yeah. I was a huge Robin Williams fan and a huge Spielberg fan. I mean, those were my two favorite people in the world.
Yep.
And I started working with this company, and one of the first jobs we got was Hook. And here I am doing a head cast on Robin Williams and going on set at the Sony Studios and literally watching Spielberg do magic. And I knew that I wanted to direct movies down the road. So I literally, when I was on set, I sat there and just studied Spielberg and watched everything he did so I could kind of absorb whatever it was that made him great.
So you actually met him. Like, what's he like as a person?
Uh, for me personally, my experience with him was minimal as far as like one on
Okay.
one, but I did get to work and talk to him a little bit, and I got to work with Dustin Hoffman and Robin Williams and a lot of the cast because we did all the makeup effects for the film, and he just knows what he's doing. He's so smart and has just such great instincts. And as a director, one of the things that I really pulled from him was the way he would interact with the actors and motivate them and get them excited about what they were doing. Like he
Yeah.
was really personable with his actors, and it shows. That's why you got movies like E.T. and all these great movies where the performance is so intensely great.
Yeah, 100%. Like that came out early '90s, so I'm pretty sure I saw that at the movies. But all these films that you worked on, like they were smack bang in the middle of my childhood. So there was a lot of that. There was a lot of that magic, and that's what it felt like as a kid. And that's why I've been a movie buff my whole life since I was 5, and now I've got two little boys as well, and they're coming up into the movie game as well. Axel, my eldest, is 5. Him and I love movies. Maybe we'll sit there and punch him out. I got another little boy, Bodie. He's only about 18 months, but still I can see a lot of myself in my eldest because of the influence that film has on the imagination at that age. So,
I totally agree with you. And the thing is it's kind of weird because, when we were younger, especially me, because I'm a few years younger, older. There wasn't a lot of distractions with phones and all this different stuff. And like there was movies and television, and that was kind of it. So when you went to the movie, it was an experience. Like you walked out of there affected by, especially as a kid, because you didn't have a lot of other things going on. It's a little harder nowadays to get attention and get that effect, but younger kids, they still are affected by the great movies because they just feel instinctually the spirit of these movies that are just amazing.
100%. And you tapped on something interesting there, like movies today. Unfortunately, like here in Australia, right? So I'm 41-year-old dad, so I don't go to Thursday, Friday premieres or whatever it is because you juggling the kids and whatnot. But
yeah,
like back in the day in the 90s, like when I was like 10 years old, mate, the lines for the movies like during school holidays was out the door. Like it was nuts.
right.
Do you know what I mean? And like you'd walk into the cinema and let's use an example like Independence Day. This one sticks out for me.
Uh-huh.
So I remember walking into the cinema and everything was ID4 and the massive cardboard cutouts of the huge ship coming over New York. And as a kid, you're walking into this thing going, this is insane. Like, you know what I mean? You haven't even stepped foot in the movies yet. But
Right.
all that smell, that popcorn and the build up to it, and then the trailers as well. I feel unfortunately now, especially with streaming, like I might catch movies and I go and review them on like a Sunday afternoon. And again, the crowd's not always big, but I've got a feeling that going to the movies, the actual event of it, might be a thing of the past, especially how streaming's going. Unfortunately,
I hope not, man.
neither
I
do
hope
I.
not.
I hope not either. So
The thing is too, and this is really something that people don't think about, but when you go to the movies and you watch a comedy or a horror movie or something, that has some drive and emotion to it, the audience feeds off each other. There's an energy in there that, when it's scary and you hear people scream around you, I mean, that's way more effective than just sitting and watching it at home on a quiet, nice big screen. It just doesn't have the same effect. I actually was an only child growing up, and I was obsessed with movies, and I just wanted to get the hell out of my house. So I would every single weekend go to the movie theaters and literally watch one movie after another, and sneak from one theater to the next, or watch the same movie over and over. I literally saw Jaws in the theaters like 42 times as a kid.
oh wow.
And Star Wars was like 60 times. I mean, I was obsessed with this stuff. So the experience of the theaters for me is such a special thing that I just hope it never actually goes away.
Look, I'm probably pushing it a bit when I say go away, but if I can feel the shift from the audiences when I was a kid versus now, and what people have got access to, especially with streaming. Don't get me wrong, it's like streaming is incredible, but the whole event going, and that's why I take my son to the movies so he gets that feeling, when he goes there, sitting in the dark with dad, it builds those core memories of your childhood. You know what I mean? I want him to have that same thing. It's actually quite sad. There's a local cinema here. There's a place called Beverly Hills here in Sydney, and I remember seeing Aladdin at that cinema, and it was actually the first movie I took my son Axel to, and it closed 6 months later. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But again, when you walk in there, there's not that many people, and it was a bit sad. You know what I mean? But we'll see. Hopefully, it doesn't.
I think you're doing a smart thing by taking your kids at an early age to experience that, because hopefully that'll sink in and become a thing.
So Dracula in, what was it, 1992. So tell me about that again, if you could.
Yeah, that was an amazing experience. I mean, I would say that's one of the top 5 greatest on-set experiences I've ever had. Working with Gary Oldman and Winona Ryder and Keanu Reeves and under Coppola, and getting to watch all these amazing makeups that we created for the show come to life. And Gary was great, because when I first met Gary and he came in for his head cast, I didn't really know who he was. And he was a little shorter, and I didn't really realize that he was Dracula. I wasn't sure which character he was going to be playing. And then when he said Dracula, I was like, interesting choice. But then when we got on set and he played that character and we put him in those different makeups, he was just like, he was amazing and intense and scary. And he was like literally a 10-foot tall monster. So Gary was by far one of the greatest actors I've worked with. And just a lot of great stories from being on set of that movie. There was some crazy stuff that went down.
How good. And did you say you made that bat monster?
Yeah, the shop that I was working for, we created... we designed it and created it. It wasn't actually even in the original script.
All right.
We went to a meeting and we were talking to him, and originally it was going to be a sword fight with Gary Oldman just as Dracula, and the head of the studio said, what if we did a bat creature character? And Coppola was totally into it, and we sculpted a guy named Mitch Devane, who was the head sculptor at the studio, sculpted this maquette of the bat creature, and Coppola loved it, so we made the bat creature. And the studio, actually the makeup artists who were on set, who were applying it, won the Academy Award for Best Makeup that we created for the film. So it was a really cool experience to be part of that and see all that come to life.
Yeah, man. I remember, again, as a kid, going to the video store and seeing the cardboard cutouts of Bram Stoker's Dracula. And then I finally watched it. I think it might have been around age 8 or 9. And again, there's these hard hitting, the way that the movie's shot, especially back, I think it's the 1800s, right? So
yeah,
it's then you see Keanu Reeves' hair go from black to gray because he's been through some shit,
there was a couple things in the movie that were a little weird, and we all thought about it when we were watching. We're like, is that supposed to be that way? And Keanu at the time struggled with his accent, and a lot of people were making comments about that. But at the end of the day, it's not a perfect film, but man, visually it just is amazing, and there's some really awesome moments in that film for sure.
Very much so. And have you seen the recent Nosferatu?
I did. It was a good movie. For me, it was a little slow. And honestly, and I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, but I wasn't a fan of the mustache. It really threw me off of what I thought a Nosferatu should look like personally.
I know what you mean.
It took me out of the character for a lot of the movie. I just didn't feel, I kind of personally, my favorite look for a Nosferatu is like what they did in Salem's Lot. Remember the original Salem's Lot?
I don't think I've seen that. One.
Oh. Look at it online and see that vampire in that. That vampire is literally the scariest version of a Nosferatu I think you'll ever see.
Yeah.
Super cool, but yeah, I just wasn't a fan of the design personally, but that's just my own opinion.
Yeah. We'll jump on to Vampires with Blade shortly, but I'll stick in chronological order. So, The Mask with Jim Carrey. Talk to me about your work with Jim and on that film, because he had, 94, he had Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber, and The Mask all in 1 year. I don't think that's ever going to be done again in terms of hits.
It's funny because when I remember when I flew to Florida to go do a head cast of him in a hotel room because he was shooting a movie at the time. And I remember telling people I was going to go do a head cast on Jim Carrey, and they were like, who's that? And I was like, the white guy in Living Color. He was a name, but he wasn't like Jim Carrey yet. And when I got to the hotel and I met him at the hotel room and we did this head cast on, he was super cool, super chill. And I asked him what he was working on. He goes, oh, I'm filming this movie called Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. And me, like an idiot, I'm like, oh, well, The Mask will be good. Right? And he goes, no, you understand, dude. Don't let the title fool you. He goes, I threw the script out the window and I'm just going crazy. They don't even know what to do with me. And I'm like, wow, right on. Let's see that. And we did the head cast on him, and then we had already made a set of teeth for him to try in as a test fitting. And we put the teeth in him, and it was like turning on a light switch, man. He just started bouncing around and going crazy in the hotel room, and it was just like, it was amazing. We got to see the mask come to life before our very eyes. So
how cool is that?
Such a cool movie too. And he just killed it as that character. No one could have done what he did with that character.
Nah, and he's like Robin Williams. Like, he's one of my childhood heroes. You know what I mean? Because seeing him at age 10, and then I saw him. I remember going to watch Batman Forever in '95. Now I went with my mate and his older brother who had a car at the time, so we saw it at night. I don't think I'd really been to a cinema at night before, and despite the critics on that film, that's a childhood guilty pleasure for me, because the experience that I had
Yeah.
with him as the Riddler. You can see the Riddler in the background. Like that's the suit they actually made with the question marks. Not the actual suit, but all the question marks. I had a fancy dress back in like 2007, and you know what I mean. Like that, just yeah, seeing him in just the way he can contort his face, and I'm sure you would have seen that in the Mutt. Just it's insane. It's like it's absolutely wild.
He's Robin Williams and Jim Carrey are two people that I've never met anyone like either of them in my entire career. Like no one has ever even come close to their level of just energy and what they did as comedians that no one else had ever done, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know. It was just super cool to be part of movies that they were doing, you know?
Yeah. And I actually jumped a year. So Mrs. Doubtfire. So you work with Robin on that as well with the face, the mask. Is that right? What was your role there?
Yeah. So the company. So I was with the same company for about 15 years, and we just were going from movie to movie to movie, which was so cool. And all of a sudden, Mrs. Doubtfire came up. So we, we created the face that he wore, the prosthetic makeups that he was wearing, and we hired people, and they came in and created the wigs and the bodysuit and pretty much his look. And then I did not go on set for that one, so I wasn't actually applying that makeup. I was only in the build of it, but I did get to watch some of the footage and some of the things, and I was told that when Robin went into makeup, like he never broke character for the entire day until that makeup was off. Yeah. And I, as an actor, really respected that because I've been in a lot of makeups myself and I've played a lot of characters, and I kind of took on that same philosophy, and it's super cool because it really transforms you into that character when you don't stop being that character for the entire time you're in the makeup. Like you never stop, you know? And he was just amazing, man. He was just, that movie is probably one of the movies I'm most proud to have my name show up at the end of it in the credits. Like that just was a groundbreaking movie, and Robin was amazing. No one could have played that part. Just like The Mask with Jim Carrey, no one could have played Mrs. Doubtfire other than Robin.
When he's at the pool and he pitches the lemon or the lime at Pierce Brosnan's head, as a kid, and it still cracks me up. The noise that it makes, it's just. Oh, I'm sorry. You should have seen him. He just ran over.
Yeah. I remember when he came into the studio, we were trying on some of the makeup appliances on him and stuff before we went on set, and I remember he was putting it on, and as soon as he put the appliance on and he looked in the mirror and he was like this, and he goes, "Oh, it's so soft." And I was like, "Oh, that's what that's the sound, that's the voice." And he was like kind of playing with it and stuff. And it's, when you sit there and you see the actor discover the character right in front of you before they even film the movie, it's such a cool experience that you never forget. I tell you, it's super cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really tragic when he passed away. I think it was 2014. So, like you obviously met him and knew him. I didn't know him from Bar Soap, but when you grow up with all of his movies, like hearing that news, like it sank deep. You know what I mean?
Dude, I'll tell you, there's only been a couple people in my career that when they passed away, it really like affected me really bad, and he was one of them for sure. And I worked with him on like 5 or 6 different movies. I did a movie called License to Wed and I didn't do anything on him. I created these baby puppets, but he was in the movie, and there was, we were crossing paths. And we did another movie called 9 Months where we did an animatronic baby that he delivers as the doctor. And, so I got to be around him a lot. And, the very last time I saw him, we did a teeth cast on him because we made him up as a bronze statue for one of the Night at the Museum movies. And I saw a difference in him. I saw a difference in his energy and his spirit and everything. It wasn't too long after that he passed away, and I was like, yeah, I felt a difference in the last time I saw him. So
yeah, you would have, man. You would have. Like did he have the onset of Dement or Parkinson's? I can't really. I'm a bit fuzzy on that detail.
I don't remember exactly what it was. I just remember when I would normally come across him on a movie or whatever, his you know his the way he talked to me was always very sweet and very warm, and he had a certain energy to him. And then when when it was time to turn it on, all of a sudden he would explode and he would turn into this much bigger, louder guy. But behind the scenes and everything, he was very calm and very sweet and caring. And when I saw him that last time, he was kind of quiet and a little lost. And it's almost like when you go and you see an older person who's kind of like just not there. Like he just felt like he wasn't quite there. And I was like, oh man, I hope he's okay. And but what a great talent, man. That guy was amazing.
Yeah. And back to Jim Carrey, I've got to wrap him in cotton wool, right? Like, because he's a big trophy for Hollywood and the world. So did you see that thing recently where the internet was going nuts with him appearing at the awards in Paris and people thinking that it was a hoax?
Oh, really? No, what was it? I didn't know about that.
It was probably about a month ago, and he was at accepting an award at some festival or some awards night in Paris, and the internet has gone Billy Bananas because they're looking at his face and his eyes different and the way that he was talking, and everyone's like, this ain't Jim. This is not Jim Carrey. And then there was another person called Alexis Stone that does all prosthetic face masks and stuff like that you jump on their website and there's a mask of Jim Carrey. It's a very murky and convoluted, and no one kind of knows what the story is.
I did see those pictures actually, and it looks like he maybe had some plastic surgery or something, because he definitely looked different. But yeah, no, I don't know. Now that you say it, I remember seeing those pictures, and it was really odd. I couldn't tell you. I think it's him.
Well, this is the thing, right? The guy's a master chameleon. And it's like, is this Jim playing a version of Jim? Because he's been on plenty of talk shows. I think he was on Jimmy Kimmel. Remember when he's going like that, like the Illuminati and stuff like that? Like you see his demeanor has shifted towards Hollywood over the last 5 to 10 years and whatnot. He's very vocal about it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know. Is it all a gag? Is it him? Is it somebody else?
I'll tell you what. Jim is super smart. Like super smart. Like he went and I think he got I don't know what he did, but he went to college for the hell of it and got a degree. And I mean, he's a really super smart guy. So he might be too smart for his own good. Maybe I don't know. I know that he when he did that one movie where he was playing the actor that played Lodka, I'm blanking.
Is it Andy Kaufman? Andy Kaufman. Andy Kaufman. Yeah, I know that he kind of lost himself in that character and got a little crazy. 100%. Well, there's that whole documentary on Netflix about the filming of it, and people were.
I don't know. It's hard to tell though, because he's such a smart dude. He could, he might just do that just to mess with people. It's hard to tell with him because he's a really talented guy. So, and smart. Yeah. So it's hard to know what he's pulling.
So there you have it, some wild stories from Mr. Todd Tucker himself. And now's a good opportunity to remind you that DMR is part of the Audible Creators Program. So what does that mean for you, the listener or the viewer at home or in your car? You can simply jump on the link in my show. It will take you over to Audible and you can start a 30-day free trial. That's right, 30 days for free. And can I make a suggestion whilst we're on the topic of Hollywood? The Book of Sheen, written and narrated by none other than Charlie Sheen himself. I tell you what, I could not put this book down. The shenanigans that this kid got up to in his career and his life, all the way from when he started in Platoon, basically, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That was an absolute cracker of a role. Then into the early 90s, Hot Shots, and of course you got 2.5 Men, and the winning phase. We cannot forget the big winning phase. So, great book. Make sure you download that one. You will be supporting DMR as well. Terms and conditions do apply if you stick around past the 30 days. But let's get back into the rest of the interview with Todd Tucker. He's got a few more stories to tell. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. So now we're getting into the back end of the late 90s, and a little film called Blade came along. And this is where I got wind of yourself when you were talking about working on, was it Pearl, the vampire?
Yeah, it's funny because I do all these TikToks and stuff on my Todd Tucker Movie Magic TikTok and YouTube channel, and I was talking about being we created all the characters for Blade, the first movie, and we created the Pearl character. And in the TikTok, I was talking about how I was the right hand. You had to crawl underneath the platform of this giant body, and there was an actor in the middle that popped up, had a makeup on, that was the head. And then there was one guy on the left that was the left arm, and I was the right arm. And while we were shooting, he was getting burned. The actor was farting because he was reacting and everything, and he was a bigger, heavier guy at the time, and he was farting, and we were stuck inside this
Oh my God.
hot, stinky ass, suit. And I said that on a TikTok, just not even thinking twice about it, and it got 2.3 million hits. Because I was talking about the guy farting, and everyone thought it was super funny. But yeah, we created the makeups, we created that Pearl character, which was super cool, and I got to go on set for that and puppeteer that part of the character. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. It was a great movie, and Wesley Snipes was great, and yeah, it was a blast.
I didn't see that at the movies, but it came out on cable, and cable only just got here to Australia around about 96, so we were late to the party in terms of like cable TV.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was one of the first films that came on cable TV, and it still holds up today. I love that film,
Right.
especially the energy between Wesley Snipes and Stephen Dorff as Frost.
Yeah.
It's intense. Like they absolutely, the way they portrayed the hatred toward each other. And there was one thing that I've seen a few people pick it up, and I don't know if too many people realize, but The Matrix came out a year later in 99, right?
Right.
In Blade, there's a scene where Blade and Wesley Snipes and Stephen Dorff are in a park, and he's holding a little girl as ransom under his claw.
Right.
And he basically picks her up. No, before that, I think he picks her up. I'm a bit fuzzy on the timing, but Blade basically shoots at him, and it goes into bullet time like The Matrix, and it goes slow-mo, and he dodges the bullets.
Yeah.
And I only realised, like, it wasn't probably about 10 or 15 years later, it seems like Blade kind of started that bullet time before The Matrix came out.
Yeah, you're right, because that whole slow motion thing is what you're talking about. Yeah, you might be right there. You might be right. Because that did come out before.
But just on that era, 98, 99, there are a hell of a lot of good films that came out just before the millennium. A hell of a lot.
Yeah. There was quite a few films that held up, because there's so many good films from the 80s that it was hard, it's hard to compete because there was such a great, output of product during that time frame, and some of the best movies ever. So the 90s had a lot to live up to, but yeah, some great movies came out. I mean, I remember when I first moved down here, and I started working at the studio that I was going to be at for a while, and we all went and saw Jurassic Park and went, oh no, we're screwed. And I was like, wait, I just got here. Wait a minute. But, and that was Spielberg, and that was, a great movie. And I'm such a Spielberg fan. I was just like, yeah. So there's so many good movies, and we got to work on some really good movies that when I was on set, it's going to be one of those movies that you're going to talk about years later. You just know it because the cast and the nature of what the movie is. And there's some great movies in the 90s for sure.
Yeah, I remember Jurassic Park was an absolute game changer for film.
Right.
I remember seeing it in the early 94 that came out here. I think it was in the cinemas for ages.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember seeing my dad in early 94, and I was shitting myself because no one had seen proper animatronic dinosaurs. And yes, there is some CGI in it, but the CGI in it still stacks up. It's better than some of the CGI out there today.
But you know what? That movie works so well because they had the combination of animatronic characters and CG. So you went back and forth, so it wasn't just one or the other. And they played up on the limitations of what one could do and the other couldn't. And it just works so well when they brought it together. And the CG held absolutely holds up to almost everything that's out now.
Yeah, 100%. And there's a story as well on that film that the T-Rex, the animatronic T-Rex, when it was raining, or it used to malfunction and come alive and jerk and scare the crap out of the crew. Apparently, it's one of the film set stories. Have you heard about that?
You know what? I mean, really, when you think about it, that T-Rex is just a giant great white shark.
Yeah.
And it's had, and the problem with that shark is the exact same problem they had with the T-Rex, where the water affects all the mechanics, and all the mechanics are going crazy and fighting the water. Two different things, because you got the shark in the water, but that shark went through hell just trying to get from point A to point B in that film. So
Yeah.
And I'm sure that Spielberg learned one of the greatest lessons of his life on one of his first big films by dealing with that damn shark. But yeah, the T-Rex was just so cool. And I saw the T-Rex. I've seen the T-Rex in person, the puppet, and it's just beautiful. It's so
Where's
cool.
it at?
I saw it in a display setup, but I don't know where it's at now. But it's probably no longer around because I think it was a big giant foam thing, and the foam doesn't last too long. But it was pretty cool when I saw it in person.
That'd be awesome, man. That'd be cool to see.
Hey, by the way, I actually came to Australia and shot a movie in Melbourne, right, literally 2 months after 9/11 hit here in the States. Wow. And I was in Melbourne for 3 months, and we shot. At the time, the movie was called The Tooth Fairy, but it ended up turning into a movie called Darkness Falls.
Okay.
And so I unfortunately, and I really wanted to get to Sydney. I never made it to Sydney because we were in Melbourne for the entire time. It was great to get a chance to be in Australia and check out the area I was in. But it was cool to be there for a little while.
Yeah, if you get back to Sydney, it's the Sydney Harbour's. It's nuts. Like, I'm not being biased. Like, every time we go in there, it's a spectacle. Especially now with all the modern buildings and whatnot. It looks I nickname. I'm working the city, so my office overlooks all of Sydney Harbour. So I call it the Emerald City because it just glistens from the water to the skyscrapers. It's just blue all the time. You know what I mean? So it's amazing.
Beautiful there. Yeah, I've seen so much footage, and it's just it's a really beautiful city.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
So into the early 2000s, so I'm just mindful of your time. I know was it Friday night there? Yeah, Friday night. So early 2000s, Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah, is that did you work on that?
Yeah. That was awesome.
That was good, man. Awesome. And what did you work on there? Like, 'cause when that came out, that was a bit of a game changer. Personally, the second one, I remember seeing that at the drive-in when they were still around, and that was nuts. And that, I think, was, in terms of CGI with Davy Jones.
Yeah.
That was intense. That was nuts.
Yeah. It was super cool when we got the job. I was really excited because I was a fan of the ride back at Disneyland, and it was interesting because what we did was we designed and created all of the looks for the pirates. But and all the pirates came in, and we did head casts and face and teeth casts and all that, and created the teeth for them and all their scars and their looks and all the tattoos and all the different cool stuff. But it was interesting because the one person that was supposed to come in that we were waiting for was Johnny Depp, and all of a sudden we got a phone call that the whole project was on hold and to stop everything. And we're like, what's going on? And they're like, we'll let you know. And then 3 days later, they called us back and said, okay, we're back on, but just so you know, Johnny won't be coming in. And we found out later on that basically they wanted Johnny's look to look very regal and very Captain Hook and very royal and all that. And Johnny's like, no, I want to look like a dreadlocked, Keith Richards. And they're like, absolutely not. And he goes, well, then I'm out. And he walked out. Apparently what I heard, and this could be wrong, but he walked out of the office and said, then forget it, I'm out. And I don't know what the discussions were, but they said, okay, you know what? Actually, you're right. That's a great idea. And God bless Johnny for sticking to his guns, because that character and the way it looks and the way he played it is, in my opinion, one of the reasons why that franchise is as big as it is, because he just created the greatest pirate character potentially in the history of pirate movies.
Oh,
And
100%.
and he's so good. And I actually now, years and years later, uh, actually do play Jack Sparrow for big corporate events and host and do stuff like that. So I've got the full Jack Sparrow costume with the teeth and made it all in.
All good, all good. So you've also worked on Van Helsing and Charmed as well, is that right?
Yeah, for Van Helsing, we did the Frankenstein makeup. We did the Igor makeup. We designed the vampire girls. We did the vampire bat characters that were in the pods. So we did a lot of fun stuff. And I'll tell you what, man, if there was ever a man crush, when Hugh Jackman walked on set, I was just like, that guy is the badass, most coolest guy of all time. Hugh Jackman is by far one of the greatest actors I've ever worked with. That guy is super talented, super nice, and as charming as a man could ever be.
Yeah, we'll claim him as Australian, so we'll take credit for that.
You should absolutely run with that one. I worked with Mel Gibson quite a bit too, and Mel was for me personally, Mel was a great inspiration for me as a director. I learned a lot from Mel personally. And
So what did you work with him on? Was that the Passion? Was that it?
Yes, I worked with him on The Passion of the Christ. Okay. And I played the Judas demon in the movie. I was a Roman soldier. I did all kinds of different characters in post. And I had worked with him on Man Without a Face and Forever Young. We did the makeups for him on those, and had worked with him on a few different movies. So I was working on a movie with him called The Singing Detective that he was doing with Robert Downey Jr. through his production company. And he said, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this Jesus movie." And I was like, "Yeah, man, you should let me, let our studio do all your effects, but you should let us do all your digital effects too." And he goes, "Why? You're not a digital company." And I go, "Yeah, but you trust me." And he laughed. And he goes, "All right, smart ass, you're on." So we opened up a digital company, and we did all the digital effects and the practical effects for The Passion of the Christ. And for me as a filmmaker and as a director, I learned so much on that movie, how to create visual effects and combine practical and visual to come up with new ways of doing stuff. And we had a bunch of really talented guys. A guy named Ted Ray came in and headed it up and for the visual effects company. And it was really super cool. Really good learning experience and one heck of a movie.
How good's that? Very, very cool. And Curious Case of Benjamin Button, 2008.
Yeah. At that point, I was one of the company owners, me and two other guys. And we brought in Brad and did all the appliances for him for all the reverse aging. We actually created the animatronic baby that was baby Brad. And the company won the Academy Award. Actually, again, it's the makeup artists that actually apply it on set that win the Academy Award, but the company that makes everything, tags along too, but it is the actual makeup artists that win. But that won Best Makeup Effects that year for the Academy, and it was super cool. And Brad was really, really cool to work with. He would show up every day on a different motorcycle by himself. No, yes men with him or anything. He was just a kind of a badass, cool guy.
He seems like it.
Yeah.
So fast forward to what have we got here? When you were a producer and a director in 2022, you got a couple of films with Monster Mutt, is that right? And the Terror of Hallows Eve, and then you also involved in the Texas Chainsaw reboot, is that right?
Yeah. I got really excited and started writing and directing and producing my own projects. I then got in and started got in the union as a DGA and started second unit directing a lot of the effects for some of the films we were doing, uh, because I could shoot our makeups and our puppets and whatever we built really well. And a lot of directors didn't know how to shoot this stuff, so it was easy for me to come on as a second unit director and just take over scenes and direct it and make it look really good and let them take the credit for it. Um, and so I did that on a few films, and then I wrote Monster Mutt, which is kind of like a Harry and the Hendersons type storyline. It was kind of my homage to Spielberg and Henson, and we made that movie, and it won Best Comedy at the International Family Film Festival, and got worldwide distribution. And it was very much a Muppety character. It was meant to be a kids, kids project, a kids movie. And
Yep.
then after that, I did another movie that I wrote. Called The Terror of Hallows Eve, and that had Doug Jones in it playing my lead creatures, and had a bunch of monsters and cool stuff. I had John Carpenter actually let me use some of his music for the film, so I had John Carpenter music in the film, and Eric Roberts and Juliet Landau and some great actors that really made it super cool. And that one won all kinds of awards. It was featured at Sitges in Spain and Fright Fest in London, and it won a bunch of really cool awards. So that did really well and got worldwide distribution. And then just recently, a couple years ago, I did a movie that had no makeup effects, no monsters, creatures, nothing. It was a rock and roll hairband comedy called Rock Bottom, kind of like Spinal Tap, but
Yeah.
a little, and that one got worldwide distribution also. It won a bunch of awards, very different from my other two, but so I've been very fortunate to get to direct these. Rock Bottom you can find on Prime Video and Apple TV. The Terror of Hallows Eve you can find on Roku and YouTube. And Monster Mutt, I don't know where the hell that is right now. It's too old. I think it's in my collection over here. But so yeah, I got really lucky being able to write and produce and direct a lot of my own projects and help on a lot of other projects too. So
That's awesome, man. Well, mate, you've got a massive list of accomplishments, so you must be pretty proud. But what advice, in closing, because I know it's getting late over there, but in closing, what would you give advice, or how would you give advice to someone who might be looking to get into acting or the FX side of things, especially in 2026, where everything is like CGI heavy? Like, or let's put it another way. What would the version of Todd Tucker in 2026 give advice to the younger version of you in the 1990s, now you knowing what you know now? That might help people like who's aspiring to be an actor or get into FX, fast track their momentum.
Here's the thing. As far as acting, if you are, there's so many outlets for acting. Because you could do things online, you could do commercials, you could do movies, television, theater. There's so many great options. So if you are an aspiring actor, the best thing for you to do is go out and do it immediately. Go work on independent films. Go do acting classes. Make sure you take some classes so that you can train yourself to be really good and give yourself the opportunity to actually make a living at it if you are going to take it serious. But you got to take it serious, and really you have to be passionate about it because it's a lot of work. It's really hard sometimes. The payoff when you do work and when you get to do stuff is really cool, but you've got to be passionate enough about what you're doing to make it worth it when you're not having a good time at it, and it's not always fun. So, and the same thing is true for makeup effects. If you're really, really into makeup effects, there's so many things online that you can find that will teach you, certain aspects of makeup effects, and you can get materials online sent to you. So it's much easier to get access to the information and the materials than it was for me when I started, because there was no internet.
Yeah, exactly.
So, if you want to be a makeup effects artist, depending on where you live, um, just start making this stuff. Get a setup in your garage and just start making stuff, learning and putting together a portfolio of your work so that at some point in time when you feel confident that you are ready, you can submit the images of your work to a potential employer, whether it's an effects company, whether it's a movie studio, whatever it might be. You need to package yourself so that, and this is the same for acting, you need to basically package yourself as something that you can hand over to someone or email to someone that is a package that explains what you are, why you're valuable, and why they want to hire you in a very simple way. You can use AI to do a lot of this now. They can help package you and stuff once you have elements to put into the mix. But again, it's like, the film industry and the entertainment industries is one of those things where, if you aren't really into it and willing to put in the hard hours, it's not something usually that you just fall into and everything goes easy.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, if you get in and it's something you are passionate about and you're lucky enough to open doors and be a good person so that people want to hire you and you're motivated and positive, that's the best way to get people to want to bring you on their team. And then it's up to you just to stay super, super positive and really always learn. And it's a great job. I love what I do, and I am so happy that I've gotten to do all the things and meet all the people I've met. So, if that's your dream, then figure out how to make it happen, come up with a game plan, and then just start doing it.
Mate, great advice, and that's probably across any industry, right? It's just like me personally, like I'm commercial real estate agent, been doing it for 22 years whilst I'm not reviewing movies, but I'm an auctioneer, right? And you not triggered me, but you jolted my memory when you mentioned about when you're first trying to get into the industry and someone says, oh, look, mate, no thanks, go and get some experience and stuff like that. It was the same with auctioneering, right? And I had to basically go to all these different auctions, record them, went to 3 auctioneers, and then I used to do auctions by myself in the mirror, over and over and over and over and over, and created this version of myself. And I went to a few state finals, and then I got picked up by one of the judges, and I did it for 4 years part-time. Still an auctioneer, but I'm just not trading at the moment because, of all the stuff with family and whatnot. But again, it's same with your industry, right? It's like you got the passion, you got the drive, and eventually, if you keep pushing at it, you're going to land something.
Yeah. And yeah, just keep pushing and find avenues. Find avenues and start going those directions that are going to elevate you to where you want to be.
Yeah, 100%. And even like with what I'm doing with the movie reviews, like they've been in existence since 2021, but
yeah,
I'm learning and going down this route of being in the studio and filming and editing and all that stuff, and it's awesome fun. Like I'm 41, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
this has got nothing to do with property with my normal day job, but I'm just
right.
I'm in that space because my creativity, it's like you hit mid-40s and for some reason you got the 2 little boys and that creativity is just like exploding, you know what I mean? Because you know that we're not here forever and you got to make your mark somehow, right? So,
hey, what are the chances of you reviewing my movie, The Terror of Hallows Eve?
Mate, I'll do it. No problems. I'll go back and watch it, 100%.
I would love to hear what you think.
Yeah, no, mate, consider it done. I'll get it done in the next couple of weeks.
It's a fun movie. I think you'll enjoy it.
Awesome. Well, mate, thank you for coming on DMR, Mr. Todd Tucker. Much appreciated. Awesome stories, man. Really do appreciate you coming on. And it's going to be a cracker in a couple of weeks' time when we go live.
I appreciate it. And if any of your audience wants to check out more stuff, you can find a lot of stuff at my YouTube channel, which is Todd Tucker Movie Magic. Also TikTok, Todd Tucker Movie Magic. And my Instagram, which is Todd Tucker Official. And I've got some stuff to check out. It'll be a lot of fun. And anything, reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you guys and get your opinion on what I got putting out there.
Awesome. I'll throw all those links in the show as well so people can get them pretty easy. But thank you, sir. Much appreciated. Have a good night, and hopefully we'll talk soon in the near future.
Very much appreciated. Have a good one.
Thanks, buddy.
You got it.
So there you have it. Some amazing Hollywood stories from none other than Todd Tucker himself. He's had some serious wins over the past couple of decades, worked with some massive names in Hollywood, actor, producer, director, you name it, he's done it. Some good stuff. So thank you, sir, for coming on. We really do appreciate it here on DMR. And stay tuned over the next couple of weeks. We are very busy canvassing some very big talent that is out there in movie land. And we've also got some very good PR companies that are good enough to approach DMR with their clients to come on the show. So stay tuned. And we're going to have a very well-known cinematographer that's going to come on the show and discuss some very well-known movies, famous movies that he has been involved with. So we're very much looking forward to that particular guest. So buckle up. We're only just getting warmed up. 2026 is going to be a big year for the Bram. And as always, leaders on the Menjay.
You've just experienced DMR, the red carpet treatment. Now, get your ass to the movies.